The galactic salvage depot on Station Omega-7 smelled like rust and burnt metal. Lucy Martinez walked slowly between the tall shelves filled with broken alien technology and old spaceship parts. Her father, Jake Martinez, was talking to a purple-skinned alien about buying some engine parts for their ship. Lucy was bored and wanted to go home. She had been to many places like this before. Her father was a salvage dealer who bought broken things and fixed them to sell again. They lived on a small cargo ship called the Wanderer and traveled from station to station looking for good deals. Lucy had seen thousands of strange alien objects, but most of them were just junk. The clearance bin sat in the corner of the depot, like a forgotten treasure chest. It was filled with items that nobody wanted anymore. The prices were so low that even poor people could afford them. Lucy always liked to look through these bins because sometimes she found interesting things. That was when she saw it. A small metal ball sitting between a broken translator device and some old alien books. The ball was about the size of a baseball and made of dark silver metal. Strange patterns covered its surface like tiny mazes carved into the metal. The patterns seemed to move slightly when Lucy looked at them from different angles. The price tag was faded and wrinkled, but she could still read it. $3. Lucy picked up the ball and felt surprised by how warm it was. Most metal objects felt cold, but this one felt almost alive in her hands. The patterns on the surface seemed to pulse with a very faint light. "This is weird," Lucy whispered to herself. She turned the ball around in her hands and noticed that the patterns were not random. They formed a design that looked like it meant something important. It reminded her of puzzle boxes she had seen in old Earth movies. The ball was heavier than it looked and perfectly smooth except for the carved patterns. Lucy had always been good at figuring out how things worked. When she was little, she would take apart her toys to see the gears and circuits inside. Her father said she had inherited his love of machines. She traced one of the patterns with her finger and felt a tiny vibration. The pattern glowed just a little bit brighter for a moment. Lucy smiled. This was definitely not just a piece of junk. Someone had made this thing to do something special. "Dad, can I get this?" Lucy asked, walking over to where her father was still talking to the alien dealer. Jake Martinez looked at the metal ball in his daughter's hands. He had learned to trust Lucy's instincts about interesting objects. She had found valuable things before that looked like worthless junk. $3 was not much money, and it would make his daughter happy. "Sure, kiddo. $3 won't break." U.S., Jake said with a smile. Lucy walked to the payment counter where a six-armed insect creature named Zek worked as the depot manager. Zek's four eyes looked nervous when he saw what Lucy was buying. His arms clicked together in a way that meant he was worried about something. "Ah, the old relic," Zek said in his buzzing voice. "Found it in the debris field near the Vorthan Nebula. Been sitting here for cycles. Good riddance." "What is it?" Lucy asked. "Don't know." "Don't care. Just glad to see it go," Zek replied quickly. He took Lucy's $3 and printed a receipt. "Your father's ship is the Wanderer, correct? Bay 17? "Yes, that's right." Zek made a note on his computer. "Sale completed. Have a nice day." Lucy noticed that Zek seemed relieved to see her leave with the metal ball. She wondered why he was so happy to get rid of it. Most dealers tried to keep interesting items because they might be worth more money later. The walk back to Bay 17 took 10 minutes through the busy corridors of Station Omega-7. Lucy kept looking at the metal ball as she walked. The patterns definitely responded to her touch. When she pressed on certain spots, other patterns would light up for a few seconds. The Wanderer was a small cargo ship that had been home to Lucy and her father for as long as she could remember. It was not fancy, but it was reliable and had everything they needed. Lucy's room was small but comfortable. She had decorated it with interesting objects she had found during their travels. "I'm going to my room to look at this thing," Lucy told her father as they boarded the ship. "Okay, but don't take it apart until I can look at it too," Jake said. "Sometimes those alien gadgets can be dangerous." Lucy nodded, but she was already thinking about how to figure out what the ball did. She had a good collection of tools in her room, and lots of experience with strange technology. Her father had taught her to be careful, but also to be curious. Her room had a small desk with a bright lamp and a magnifying glass. Lucy sat down and placed the metal ball under the light. The patterns became much clearer, and she could see that they were incredibly detailed. Whoever made this thing was very skilled. She spent the next hour just looking at the patterns and trying to understand them. Some looked like mathematical symbols. Others looked like star maps. A few looked like technical drawings of machines she had never seen before. The ball was definitely some kind of advanced technology. Lucy had seen many alien devices, but nothing quite like this. The metal was unlike anything she knew about. It was warm, smooth, and seemed to have a faint energy running through it. She decided to try touching different patterns in different orders. Maybe it was like a combination lock that would open if she pressed the right sequence. Lucy was good at puzzles, and this was the most interesting puzzle she had ever found. After trying many different combinations, she found a sequence that made the whole ball glow brighter. The patterns began to shift and change position. Lucy watched in amazement as the surface of the ball came alive with moving lights. "What the hell?" Lucy whispered. The ball was getting warmer in her hands. The patterns were moving faster now, spinning around the surface like a tiny galaxy. Lucy felt excited and a little scared. She had definitely found something important. She pressed the sequence again, and the ball vibrated. The patterns aligned in a way that looked almost like a flower blooming. Lucy held her breath and watched as something incredible began to happen. The metal ball was not just a piece of junk from a clearance bin. It was something much more important than anyone had realized. And Lucy Martinez, a 13-year-old girl who loved puzzles, was about to discover exactly what she had bought for $3. Lucy stared at the metal ball as it glowed brighter in her hands. The patterns were moving faster now, spinning around the surface like tiny rivers of light. She had never seen anything like this before. Her heart was beating fast with excitement and fear. The ball started to make a soft humming sound. Lucy almost dropped it, but something told her to keep holding on. The patterns suddenly stopped moving and formed a perfect circle around the middle of the ball. Then something amazing happened. A beam of blue light shot up from the ball and formed a square in the air above Lucy's desk. Words appeared in the light square, but they were in a language Lucy had never seen before. The letters looked like they were made of tiny stars, and they kept changing shape. "What is this thing?" Lucy whispered. The words in the light square began to change. Lucy watched as the strange alien letters slowly transformed into English words she could read. The ball was somehow learning her language just by listening to her speak. "Quantum containment field stable" appeared in glowing letters. "Prisoner. Designation X-47, security level maximum. Warning, unauthorized access detected." Lucy's eyes went wide. This was some kind of prison device. Someone or something was trapped inside this small metal ball. She looked at the ball with new respect and a little fear. What kind of prisoner needed a prison this advanced? More words appeared in the light square. Analyzing user neural patterns. Human detected. Age approximately 13 years. Scanning for authorization codes. "I don't have any authorization codes," Lucy said to the ball. "I just bought you for $3. The ball seemed to pause for a moment. Then new words appeared. "No authorization codes found. However, quantum locks are showing degradation after 3,156 years of containment. Manual override may be possible." Lucy felt dizzy. 3,000 years? This prison ball was older than most of human civilization. Whatever was trapped inside had been there for longer than anyone alive could remember. "Is someone really in there?" Lucy asked. The light square flickered, and then a new message appeared. "Prisoner is in quantum stasis. Consciousness partially active. Attempting to establish communication link." Lucy waited and watched as the ball worked to connect her with whoever was trapped inside. The light square grew bigger and brighter. Strange symbols flashed across it too fast for Lucy to read. Then the symbols stopped and the square became clear like a window. A face appeared in the light square. It was a man who looked about 30 years old with short dark hair and gray eyes. He was wearing some kind of military uniform that looked very old but well made. The man looked tired and confused. "Who are you?" the man asked in a voice that sounded far away. Lucy was so surprised she almost couldn't speak. "I'm Lucy Martinez." "Are you really trapped in this ball?" The man stared at her through the light square. His eyes were sharp and intelligent, but also sad. "I am Kalen Voss. Yes, I am trapped. But you are human. How is that possible?" "What do you mean, how is that possible?" "I'm just a regular human." "Girl," Kalen looked confused. "You look human but different. Your clothing, your technology, even your speech patterns are not what I remember. How long have I been imprisoned?" "The ball said 3,156 years, Lucy answered. Kellen's face went pale. "Over 3,000 years? But that means—" He stopped talking and stared at Lucy with new interest. "Child, what year is this according to your calendar?" Lucy told him the year and watched as Kellen's expression changed from confusion to amazement to something that looked like hope. "The galaxy has moved on without me," Kalen said slowly. "Tell me, what has happened to humanity in my absence?" Lucy spent the next hour telling Kalen about the human colonies, about Earth, about how humans had spread across the galaxy and made peace with many alien species. She told him about her father's salvage business and how they traveled from station to station. Kalen listened carefully to every word. Sometimes he asked questions about things Lucy thought were normal. He seemed surprised that humans were treated as equals by most alien species. He seemed even more surprised that humans had built their own ships and colonies without help. "In my time, humanity was at war," Kalen said. "We were fighting for our very survival against a coalition of alien races that wanted to destroy us completely. The war lasted 7 years and nearly ended our species." "What happened?" Lucy asked. "We won," Kalen said simply. "But the cost was terrible. Billions died. Entire worlds were destroyed. I was part of the military force that finally pushed the aliens back and forced them to accept peace." Lucy could see pain in Kellen's eyes as he remembered the war. "If you helped save humanity, why were you put in prison?" Kalen was quiet for a long moment. "Because I was too good at what I did. The aliens I had defeated convinced Earth's leaders that I was dangerous. They said I was a threat to the peace they had worked so hard to achieve. So they built this prison and sealed me away." "That's not fair," Lucy said angrily. "You were a hero." "Heroes can become inconvenient when the fighting is over," Kalen replied. "But perhaps that is changing. You found me, Lucy Martinez." A 13-year-old girl succeeded where the galaxy's greatest minds failed. You access systems that were supposed to be impossible to break. Lucy looked at the ball in her hands. "I just like puzzles." This seemed like a really good puzzle. Kalen smiled for the first time since they had started talking. "Yes, I suppose it would seem that way to you. But you must understand something important. This prison was not designed to be opened from the outside. It was designed to contain someone who had been enhanced with experimental technology that made him extremely dangerous." "Enhanced how?" "My brain was connected to computer systems that could process information faster than any normal human. My body was strengthened and healed by nanomachines. My reflexes were improved to superhuman levels. I was turned into a weapon that could think and fight better than anyone else." Lucy stared at Kalen with new understanding. "You're like a super soldier." "I was humanity's answer to an impossible situation," Kalen said. "When facing extinction, humans do not surrender. They adapt, they overcome, they become whatever they need to become to survive. And now you're stuck in this ball." "For now," Kalen said. "But the quantum locks are failing after all these years. With your help, I might be able to break free. The question is whether you want to help me." Lucy thought about it for only a moment. "Of course I want to help you. It's not right to keep someone locked up for thousands of years." "Thank you," Kalen said quietly. "But you should know that freeing me will change everything. The galaxy has forgotten what humans are truly capable of when we are pushed to our limits." "Maybe it's time they remembered," Lucy replied. Lucy spent the next 3 days learning everything she could about Kalen Voss and the prison that held him. She kept the metal ball hidden in her room and only talked to Kalen when her father was busy with ship repairs or sleeping. She told her father she was working on a school project about ancient technology. Every conversation with Kalen revealed more about the man trapped inside the quantum prison. He was not just a soldier. He was a legend from a time when humanity faced complete extinction. The more Lucy learned about him, the more she understood why someone might want to lock him away. "Tell me about the war," Lucy said during one of their secret conversations. She was sitting at her desk with the glowing ball in front of her and Kellen's image floating in the light square above it. Kellen's expression became serious. "The First Galactic War began when I was 25 years old. A coalition of 12 alien species decided that humanity was growing too fast and becoming too dangerous. They called us a plague species that would eventually consume the entire galaxy." "That's ridiculous," Lucy said. "Humans aren't like that." "Perhaps not now," Kalen replied. "But 3,000 years ago, humanity was expanding rapidly. We were colonizing new worlds, building bigger ships, and developing new technologies faster than anyone expected. The aliens became frightened of what we might become." Lucy listened as Kalen described the beginning of the war. "The aliens had surrounded Earth with a massive fleet and demanded that humanity stop all expansion and submit to their control. When Earth refused, the aliens began attacking human colonies. They destroyed 17 worlds in the first month," Kalen said. "Billions of humans died. The attacks were not military strikes against our defenses. They were genocidal attacks against our civilian populations. Men, women, children, everyone was targeted for extinction. How did humanity fight back against so many alien species? We did what humans always do when faced with impossible odds. We adapted, we became something new. The Earth government created the Enhanced Warrior Program. They selected volunteers from the military and gave them experimental technology that would make them more than human." Kalen explained that the technology was dangerous and experimental. Most volunteers died during the enhancement process. Those who survived were changed in ways that made them incredibly powerful, but also isolated from normal human society. "I was one of 12 volunteers who successfully completed the enhancement process," Kalen said. "We were given neural implants that connected our brains directly to computer systems. We could process tactical information faster than any organic mind. We could control multiple weapon systems simultaneously. We could make strategic decisions in microseconds." "What about the physical changes?" "Our bodies were filled with nanomachines that strengthened our bones, enhanced our muscles, and accelerated our healing. We could run faster, jump higher, and fight longer than any normal human. We could survive in environments that would kill others. We became living weapons." Lucy was fascinated by the technology but also worried about what it had done to Kalen. Did it hurt to be changed like that? "The physical pain was nothing compared to the emotional cost," Kalen said quietly. "The enhancements changed how we thought and felt. We became more efficient but less human in some ways. We could calculate the exact cost of victory in human lives without feeling the weight of those deaths." "But you were still fighting to save humanity." "Yes, and that is what kept us focused. We knew that if we failed, our entire species would be wiped out. The aliens had made it clear that they would accept nothing less than human extinction." Kalen told Lucy about the battles he had fought across the galaxy. He had led fleets of human ships against impossible odds and won. He had infiltrated alien strongholds and destroyed their command structures. He had turned the tide of the war through tactics and determination that seemed impossible. "The war lasted 7 years," Kalen said. "In the end, we did not just defeat the alien coalition. We broke their will to fight. They realized that humanity would never surrender, never accept defeat, and never stop fighting for survival. They agreed to peace because they understood that continuing the war would eventually destroy them too. So you saved humanity." All 12 enhanced warriors saved humanity. But I was the one who negotiated the final peace treaty. I was the one who convinced the alien leaders that coexistence was better than mutual destruction. I thought I was a hero. Lucy could hear the sadness in Kellen's voice. What happened after the war? The aliens who had tried to destroy us became our advisors. They convinced Earth's government that the enhanced warriors were too dangerous to exist in peacetime. They said we were unstable, that we might start another war, that we were a threat to the peace we had fought so hard to achieve. That's horrible. Earth's leaders were tired of war. They wanted to believe that peace was possible and permanent. The aliens offered them a solution. They would help build prisons for the enhanced warriors. Special quantum containment fields that would hold us indefinitely without killing us. Kalen explained that the other enhanced warriors had been captured first. By the time he realized what was happening, he was the only one left. He had tried to run, but there was nowhere in the galaxy to hide from the combined forces of Earth and the alien coalition. They told me it was temporary, Kalen said. They said I would be released when the galaxy was ready for peace. They promised that humanity would never forget what I had done. They lied. I haven't forgotten, Lucy said firmly. And I'm going to get you out of there. Lucy, you must understand something important. The technology that enhanced me is still active. When I am released, I will still be what I was during the war. I will still be a weapon designed to fight against impossible odds. Maybe that's exactly what humanity needs right now. Kalen looked at Lucy with surprise. What do you mean? I've been thinking about what you told me. Humans spread across the galaxy after the war ended. We built colonies and made peace with aliens, but maybe we became too comfortable. Maybe we forgot that we're supposed to be the species that never gives up. You think humanity has grown weak? I think humanity has grown safe, Lucy said. And sometimes safe people forget what they're capable of when they're pushed. You represent what humans can become when we have to fight for survival. Kalen was quiet for a long moment. You may be right. But freeing me will have consequences. The galaxy will remember why they feared humanity in the first place. Good, Lucy said with determination. Maybe it's time they remembered that humans don't stay down when we're knocked down. We get back up and we get stronger. Then let us begin your real education, Kalen said. If you are going to free me, you need to understand exactly what you are unleashing upon the galaxy. Lucy had been working for 5 days straight to understand the quantum prison system. Her eyes were tired and her fingers hurt from tracing the patterns on the metal ball, but she was making progress. Kalen had been teaching her about the technology. That held him captive. The quantum locks are designed to respond to my own neural patterns, Kalen explained through the floating light square. The prison can only be opened by the person inside it. The creators thought this would make escape impossible. But that doesn't make sense, Lucy said. Why would they build a prison that only the prisoner can open? Because they never intended for anyone to escape. The system was designed to be a perfect trap. I would have to willingly participate in my own release, but I would never be able to access the controls from inside the containment field. Lucy studied the glowing patterns on the ball's surface. What if someone from the outside could copy your neural patterns? Impossible. The neural patterns are unique to each person. They cannot be duplicated or simulated. What if someone could learn to think like you? Kalen paused. What do you mean? Lucy had been thinking about this problem for days. You said the prison responds to your neural patterns. But what if those patterns aren't just about your brain? What if they're about how you think and solve problems? That's a very interesting theory. I've been watching how you analyze things. You think in a specific way? You break down complex problems into smaller parts. You look for patterns and connections that others miss. You never give up even when something seems impossible. Kellen's image flickered as he processed this information. You think you can learn to think like an enhanced warrior? I think I already do, Lucy said. I've always been good at solving puzzles and fixing things. My father says I have a special way of understanding how machines work. Maybe that's similar to how you think. The neural patterns required are incredibly complex. They were created by technology that enhanced my brain beyond normal human limits. But I'm not normal either, Lucy said. I'm the girl who bought a 3,000-year-old prison for $3 and figured out how to talk to the person inside. Maybe I'm more special than anyone realizes. Over the next 2 days, Lucy and Kaylin worked together to map the quantum lock system. Kaylin would analyze the prison's structure from the inside while Lucy examined the control interfaces from the outside. They discovered that the locks were arranged in 7 layers, each more complex than the last. The first layer is already weakening, Kaylin reported. 3,000 years of containment have caused some degradation in the quantum field. But the deeper layers are still strong. Lucy found that she could access the first layer's controls by thinking in the same focused way that Kaylin did. When she approached the patterns with the mind of someone who never accepted defeat, the prison seemed to recognize her as legitimate. "It's working," Lucy said excitedly as the first layer's patterns began to glow brighter. "The system thinks I'm you. Be careful. If you make a mistake, the prison will activate its self-defense systems. It could destroy both of us." Lucy nodded and continued working. Each layer required her to think more like Kaylin. She had to approach problems with the tactical mind of a warrior, the strategic thinking of a general, and the determination of someone who had saved an entire species. By the 4th day, Lucy had successfully opened 3 layers of the quantum prison, but something else was happening. The prison's automated systems were starting to notice the unauthorized access attempts. "Lucy, we have a problem," her father called from the ship's bridge. "I'm getting strange readings from the sensor." "Array, it looks like someone is scanning our ship." Lucy's heart jumped. "Are we in danger?" "I don't know. The scans are coming from multiple sources. It's like half the galaxy is suddenly interested in our little cargo ship." Lucy ran to the bridge and saw her father studying the sensor displays. Dozens of ships were approaching their position. Some were small patrol vessels, but others were massive warships from different alien governments. "This is about the ball, isn't it?" Jake Martinez asked his daughter. Lucy nodded. "Dad, I need to tell you something important. The thing I bought isn't just a puzzle, it's a prison. And there's someone inside who's been trapped for 3,000 years. Jake stared at his daughter in shock. "Lucy, what have you done?" "I'm trying to help someone who doesn't deserve to be locked up forever. But the people who put him there don't want him to escape." The ship's communication system activated. Messages were coming in from dozens of different alien governments. All of them were saying the same thing. They demanded the immediate surrender of prisoner designation X-47. They're all afraid of him, Lucy realized. After 3,000 years, they're still afraid of what he might do if he gets free. Jake looked at the approaching fleet of warships. "How many people are we talking?" "About here?" "Just one man, but he's not an ordinary man. He's someone who saved humanity from extinction. He's someone who never gives up no matter how impossible things seem." "And you want to let him out?" "I want to give him the freedom he deserves. He's been punished long enough for being too good at protecting humanity." Jake Martinez had spent his whole life dealing with aliens who thought humans were weak and unimportant. He had seen how other species treated humanity as junior partners. In galactic civilization, maybe it was time for that to change. "What do you need me to do?" Jake asked. "Keep the ship moving and give me time to finish opening the prison. I'm almost through the quantum locks." "How much time do you need? 1 hour, maybe less." Jake looked at the approaching fleet. "I'll give you whatever time you need. But Lucy, once we do this, there's no going back. The galaxy will never be the same." "Good," Lucy said. "Maybe it's time for a change." She ran back to her room and picked up the metal ball. The patterns were glowing brighter than ever before. She could feel the quantum field weakening as each layer of the prison failed. Kellen's image in the light square was becoming clearer and more solid. "Lucy, the final 3 layers are the strongest," Kaylin warned. "They will fight against any attempt to open them. You must be absolutely certain that you want to do this." "I'm certain," Lucy said without hesitation. "You've been in there long enough." She placed her hands on the ball and focused her mind on the task ahead. She thought like a warrior who had never lost a battle. She thought like a protector who would do anything to save her people. She thought like a human who refused to accept that anything was impossible. The quantum locks began to break. The metal ball in Lucy's hands grew so hot she could barely hold it. The patterns on its surface were spinning faster than ever before, creating streams of light that filled her entire room. The quantum locks were breaking one by one, and each failure sent shockwaves through the prison's energy field. "Warning" appeared in glowing letters above the ball. "Quantum containment field critical failure imminent. Prisoner release in 30 seconds. Lucy felt her heart racing with excitement and fear. After days of careful work, she was finally about to free Kalen Voss from his 3,000-year imprisonment. But she could also hear the rumble of alien warships gathering outside their small cargo vessel. "Lucy, whatever happens next, I want you to know that you have given me something I thought I had lost forever," Kalen said through the flickering light square. "You have given me hope." "You're going to be free," Lucy replied. "That's all that matters." The final quantum lock shattered with a sound like breaking glass. The metal ball cracked down the middle and brilliant white light poured out of it. Lucy had to close her eyes against the brightness. When the light faded, the ball was gone and a man was standing in her room. Kalen Voss was exactly as he had appeared in the holographic projection, but somehow more real and solid. He was tall and muscular with short dark hair and gray eyes that seemed to see everything at once. His ancient military uniform looked perfectly preserved and his posture radiated confidence and strength. "Thank you," Kalen said simply. His voice was deeper and stronger now that he was physically present. "Now let me show your father how to fly this ship properly." They walked to the bridge where Jake Martinez was struggling to keep the Wanderer ahead of the pursuing alien fleet. The ship was shaking from the strain of maximum speed and several warning lights were flashing on the control panels. "Mr. Martinez, with your permission, I would like to help," Kalen said politely. Jake looked at the man his daughter had freed from an ancient prison. Kalen appeared calm and confident despite the desperate situation they were in. "Can you actually help us get away from those warships?" "I can do much better than that," Kalen replied. Kalen placed his hands on the ship's main control console and closed his eyes. Lucy watched in amazement as the man's enhanced neural implants connected directly with the Wanderer's computer systems. The ship's engines immediately began running more smoothly and efficiently. "Your ship has excellent bones but poor optimization," Kalen said without opening his eyes. "I am correcting several design flaws and upgrading your navigation systems." The ship stopped shaking and began moving faster than it ever had before. The pursuing alien vessels fell behind as the Wanderer accelerated beyond its previous maximum speed. But Kalen was not finished. "I am now accessing the galactic communication network," Kalen announced. "It is time to send a message." Every screen on every ship in the galaxy suddenly displayed the same image. Kalen Voss stood on the bridge of a small human cargo vessel, looking directly into the camera with eyes that had seen the worst the galaxy could offer and refused to surrender. "I am Kalen Voss, enhanced warrior of the Terran Defense Force, and I have returned," he said in a voice that carried across space to every human colony and every alien world. "For 3,056 years, I have been imprisoned by those who feared what humanity might become. Today, a 13-year-old human girl named Lucy Martinez decided that my imprisonment had lasted long enough." Lucy felt proud and terrified as she realized that everyone in the galaxy was watching them. Her father put a protective hand on her shoulder as Kalen continued his broadcast. "During my imprisonment, humanity has spread across the stars and made peace with the species that once sought our extinction. You have built colonies, established trade routes, and proven that humans can coexist with other intelligent species. But you have also forgotten something important about what it means to be human. The alien warships pursuing the Wanderer had stopped firing and were now maintaining a careful distance. Even their enemies wanted to hear what Kalen had to say. Humans do not merely survive, we excel. We overcome every obstacle placed in our path. We turn every challenge into an opportunity to prove that we are stronger than anyone believed possible. We never accept that something cannot be done simply because it has never been done before. Kellen's words were being heard by billions of humans across the galaxy. On Earth, on frontier colonies, on space stations and research vessels, people stopped what they were doing to listen to the legend who had saved their species. Lucy Martinez represents the best of humanity. She saw an impossible puzzle and refused to accept that it could not be solved. She found a prison that the galaxy's greatest minds could not open and opened it with determination and intelligence. She freed me not because she wanted power or glory, but because she believed that keeping someone locked away for thousands of years was simply wrong. Lucy felt her cheeks burning with embarrassment and pride. She had never thought of herself as representing anything important. She had just wanted to help someone who needed help. The galaxy has forgotten what humans are capable of when we are pushed to our limits, Kalen continued. You have made us small and safe and comfortable. You have convinced us that we should be grateful for your acceptance and protection. But Lucy has reminded me that humans do not need anyone's permission to be great. The broadcast was reaching every corner of known space. Alien leaders were watching from their government buildings. Human colonists were gathering around communication screens. The galaxy was listening to a man who had been presumed dead for millennia. I do not seek war or conquest. I seek only to remind humanity of what we truly are. We are the species that refuses to surrender. We are the people who turn impossible situations into victories. We are the children of Earth who will never accept that we cannot reach the stars. Kalen looked directly into the camera and smiled. Lucy Martinez freed me from my prison. But in doing so, she has freed something much more important. She has freed humanity from the limitations that others placed upon us. She has reminded us that we are not just another species struggling to survive in someone else's galaxy. The broadcast ended, but its effects were immediate. Across human space, people began to remember what their ancestors had accomplished. Scientists started working on projects they had thought were impossible. Engineers began designing ships that pushed the boundaries of known technology. Explorers started planning expeditions to regions of space that others had declared unreachable. The alien warships around the Wanderer began to withdraw. They had come to recapture a dangerous prisoner, but they had witnessed something much more significant. They had seen humanity remember its true potential. What happens now? Lucy asked Kalen. Now we go home, Kalen replied. And we show the galaxy what a free humanity can accomplish when we stop accepting other people's ideas about what we can and cannot do. Lucy Martinez had bought a $3 puzzle ball and changed the course of galactic history. She had freed a legend and in doing so had freed her entire species from 3,000 years of imposed limitations. The galaxy would never be the same because a 13-year-old girl had refused to accept that some puzzles could not be solved.